Does your business have a healthy flow, or are you quietly building a dam? Because pressure always builds where flow stops. And believe it or not, scripture has something to say about that. I'm Katie Hornor, and in Matthew 10:8, we read that freely you've received and freely you must give. It's not about punishment, it's not about social equity, it's about stewardship. When I was a kid in the mountains of western North Carolina, my cousins and I loved the creek behind my grandparents' house because on hot days we would be down there catching crawdads and building little dams in the creek, redirecting the water to create this big swimming hole. And I remember one day feeling very proud of myself because over the weekend we had engineered what felt like a masterpiece. It was a perfect little pool, 2 or 3 feet deep. I couldn't wait to finish my homework that day and get back to the creek. But when I got there, the pool was gone. The weekend rain had come through and the force of the water blew through our little rookie dam, and the stream was all shallow again as if nothing had ever happened. Later, I learned something very important about dams. Real dams have spillways. These are designed for overflow. Without inflow and outflow, the pressure builds and builds and builds, and destruction follows. And that lesson came back to me recently when I was thinking about business. A healthy business also has to have inflow and outflow. One of my friends often says that God intends for us to be like the Sea of Galilee, receiving water and letting it flow out, because otherwise we become like the Dead Sea, and nobody wants to do business with a stinky business. This applies to everything. It applies to your money, your time, your energy, your marketing, people in your life, ideas. If resources come in and never move back out, it is damaging. Christian author Shay Bynes says it this way: God is the source, everything else is a resource. That sentence carries so much weight. Your business resources could look like people, time, knowledge, digital assets, physical tools. Maybe it's money, marketing budgets, but none of those are the source. God created it all. He owns it all, and He's not broke. When we hoard those resources or when we misuse them, we create pressure and stagnation. How things flow matters. And as the CEO of your business, your role is stewardship. You're the manager of the flow of resources for God's business to accomplish the owner's goals. When you know God, when you know what He wants for you, when you know what He wants for your business, decision making becomes easier. It's not emotional anymore. It's not frantic. It all becomes clear. I say this all the time with my clients that when leaders are unclear on the goal God has set for a season, every opportunity feels tempting. Every podcast invite, every event invite, every sponsorship, every collaboration that comes up, and suddenly they're overwhelmed. But when the goal is clear, discernment is easy. In our business, we started feeling pressure. We were learning, we were growing, the opportunities were coming. It felt full, but the dam was about to break. And at one point, I realized that if we took every opportunity, it was going to suck us dry. Now we choose to have a main goal for every season. So let's just say, for example's sake, that this season, our primary goal is lead generation. We're going to take quarter 1 and do lead generation. So when these opportunities come up, we get to ask ourselves the question: does this help me reach my goal of getting more leads? And if yes, I get to explore it. And if not, we table it. Maybe not forever, but just for now. Because the clarity around what the goal is has protected the time and the energy and the money and the effort. This is what flow in your business looks like: resources coming in, resources flowing out, pressure managed, structure remains intact. Luke 19:26 comes in at the close of the story of the 3 servants who were entrusted different amounts to guard and to grow for their master. You've heard the parable of the servants, or the parable of the talents. The verse says, "For I say unto you that unto everyone that hath shall be given, and from him that hath not, even that which he hath shall be taken away from him." God isn't talking about greed in that verse. He's talking about responsibility. Because when resources are stewarded well, more can be entrusted. But when resources are hoarded or misused or they're feared, we have this scarcity mindset, then what we have becomes ineffective. God doesn't bless what we withhold, He multiplies what we surrender. So let me ask you something. Do you have policies and procedures in place to protect the resources of the business that you steward for the Lord? Do you have policies to protect your time, your energy, your marketing budget, your team, your attention? Or are you just reacting instead of stewarding? Learning to see your business differently is exactly what I teach more of and more deeply in that book, The Flamingo Advantage: How to Leverage Unique, Stay Relevant, and Change the World. You're going to find a link below this video if you need to get a copy. And if you are a leader, an entrepreneur, an event host who wants to support aligning vision and resources with execution, you'll also find links to inquire about working together or having me speak at your event. Healthy businesses flow. Stewardship brings peace. That's what I want you to remember today. Thanks for joining me. Here's to stewarding well.